President, I move that the Senate advance to the 8th order of business.
Without objection, the Senate advance to the 8th order of business. Senate Resolution 8661, the Secretary will read.
By Senators Roach, Parlett, Mullet, Baumgardner, Frock, Benton, and others. Whereas the citizens of Washington State value economic and cultural exchange, and whereas the people of Azerbaijan observe Azerbaijan Republic Day on May 28th, and whereas on this same day in 1918, the people of Azerbaijan declared independence and formed the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, and whereas the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic was the first secular democracy in the Islamic world, and its citizens have committed to protecting their freedom and democracy, and whereas the Republic of Azerbaijan is today a staunch ally and partner of the United States in the strategically important South Caucasus region bordering Iran, Russia, and Central Asia, and whereas the Republic of Azerbaijan and the United States share a strong commitment to diversifying energy supplies, fighting terrorism, and promoting regional security, and whereas possessing vast oil and gas resources, Azerbaijan contributes to the energy security of the United States and its European allies, and it is a critical element of the Southern Corridor which will further enhance diversification of energy supplies to our European allies. And whereas the Republic of Azerbaijan has consolidated its sovereignty and independence and has become one of the most rapidly developing countries in the world and the biggest United States trade partner in the South Caucasus, and whereas Azerbaijan has become a major regional partner of such Washington-based companies as Boeing and Microsoft, and has signed multi-billion-dollar contracts that have created thousands of new American jobs in Washington, and whereas Azerbaijan, represented by its Consulate General, attaches great importance to expanding its relations in all spheres, including trade, cultural, and educational exchange with the state of Washington, and whereas it is critical for the United States of America to further strengthen relations with its allies, such as Azerbaijan, to advance our common interests presently and in the future. Now therefore be it resolved that the Washington State Senate recognize and support the strategic partnership and friendship between the United States of America and the Republic of Azerbaijan, and trust that our relations will be further enhanced through mutual efforts over the years to come.
Senator Roach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the resolution.
Senator Roach moves that the resolution be adopted. Senator Roach.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's with a great deal of honor that I bring forth this resolution this afternoon to really honor the people of Azerbaijan and the contribution that they make to us here in the United States of America. You know, just recently, the government of Azerbaijan negotiated a contract with Boeing, over $1.1 billion in new Boeing aircraft that provides for jobs for us here in Washington State. They're working diligently with Microsoft as they move towards diversification of their own economy. They work with Microsoft and will be doing some tech industries there in Baku and related areas in Azerbaijan. So many of you know that I had the opportunity to go to Azerbaijan about 2 years ago, and I wanted to briefly explain one of the things that was most impressive to me. While the fact that it isn't a democracy in an area of the world where that's kind of hard to maintain if you can get it, and the fact that the people are so friendly to Americans and that they value our friendship, one of the things that they have that most of the world doesn't is a huge, huge oil and natural gas supply. 2,000 years ago, people would go to the area and take oil off the ground as it laid there to fill their lamps. Now, Azerbaijan, a modern nation, the first to do any offshore drilling, and they do this in the Caspian Sea. It wasn't us in the Gulf. It was Azerbaijanis in the Caspian Sea. This is a country that has, in the last probably 20 years, 1991, they gained their freedom from the Soviet bloc. Other countries in Eastern Europe, I think it was like 1989, but 1991 for Azerbaijan. So they are contributing to and now have a pipeline from Baku area to Eastern Europe. This is a country that not even 100 years ago was supplying the gasoline, the oil. 50% of the world's production came from this area of the world. And now they're able to use this reserve, which is quite significant. They have a 100-year supply of natural gas, and they have about 50 years supply of oil. They are in fact able to pipe this supply, this energy, to Eastern Europe, giving Eastern Europe other alternatives for their energy, which is extremely important to Europe and to us here in the United States. So with Azerbaijan being our friends, and here today we have those that are very happy that we're recognizing this wonderful country and the importance it is to the United States. I know that there are others that want to share some thoughts. I really urge passage of the resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Jayapal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also wanted to rise in support of this resolution. I want to thank Senator Roach for offering it. This morning we celebrated Nowruz, and it's interesting that Azerbaijan is one of the countries where Nowruz is actually an official holiday, along with India and Pakistan and many others. It's a great pleasure for me to stand in support of this resolution, because I think that there are few countries in the world where we see the number of different religions operating side by side. My birth country of India is one, and I believe Azerbaijan is another. We actually share another commonality, which is that in my home state of Kerala, we have a Jewish community that's thriving, along with the Muslim community, a Hindu community, and a very strong Christian community. So I stand in support of Azerbaijanis here and the efforts to continue to provide opportunities for all people to express themselves peacefully. And I thank Senator Roach again and urge adoption of this resolution. Thank you.
Senator Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a co-sponsor of the resolution, I too stand in strong support. One of the things that really impressed me in learning more about this country is the fact that they were one of the very first countries to actually step forward with unconditional support of the United States when our country was attacked by terrorists back on September 11th. They opened up their airports, their flyways, and their soldiers even fought shoulder to shoulder with our United States troops. And I think that shows the strong support of our country and strong support of two countries and how they can work together for keeping the peace in the world. And I stand in strong support of the resolution.
Senator Habib.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too would like to stand in support of this resolution and urge its adoption. You know, I hate to take this back to the biographical level again after this morning, but I am on my mother's side of Azerbaijani background, and so it is particularly exciting for me that Senator Roach has become a subject matter expert on that country and that ethnicity, and has represented our state so ably overseas and in an ongoing fashion through relations with the people and diplomats of Azerbaijan. As has been said by others, this is a country that really dispels a lot of the myths that are out there that are so easy, so facile to buy into about the intersection of religion and politics and economics and military issues. And sometimes, you know, we need a good reminder. And the nearly 10 million people of Azerbaijan provide that kind of reminder, as in the wake of living under imperial and Soviet rule, they now are doing the hard work of nation building and democratic reforms to really shine a light to others. And so I'm just so honored that we can put this resolution forward today. And I also want to say, Mr. President, that, you know, I'm very proud that Senator Roach is a colleague, because all too often here there's a tendency, given the challenges that we do have here in our state, to focus so much on what's going on here that we forget that we are a gateway to Asia, a gateway to the rest of the world here as the most trade-dependent state. And that we as state legislators should play a role in that. That should not just be a function of the Department of Commerce or of chambers of commerce or trade missions, but we in fact should do that. And to have a president of the Senate such as yourself and a president pro tempore such as Senator Roach and others, I think we should all do our part to step up and build relations where we can for the people and the business of the state of Washington. So happy to stand in support of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Benton.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I, too, as a co-sponsor of the resolution, am proud to stand and ask my colleagues to join me in voting to honor the people and the country of Azerbaijan. Many of you may not realize, but Azerbaijan beat the United States to the punch in giving the right to women to vote. That may be a shock to many of you in a Muslim country, in a Muslim region, but in 1918, when the people of Azerbaijan created their independent first secular democratic republic in the Islamic world, they granted women the right to vote a full year before the United States even did. That says something about what kind of people live in Azerbaijan. And during World War II, when Jews needed a haven, they found it in Azerbaijan. And still today, religions from all over the world are able to operate freely in Azerbaijan. And what a great example for not only that region, but for the rest of the world, to show how many different peoples and many different religions can work together, keep their religion separate, work and be an independent nation, and have respect for each other. This is a terrific model, I think, for the Middle East and for the world to show that, yes, it is possible for us to work and live together without these horrible terrorist activities and trying to take over through force and brutality. So my commendation to the people of Azerbaijan, to the great country of Azerbaijan, for setting a terrific example for the world to follow. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Chase.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, join Senator Roach and my colleagues in supporting this resolution. You know, the people of Azerbaijan and the government there have given us a world-class example of tolerance and respect for all people. I think it is a wonderful example that this country, in the middle of the strife where they are living, are able to give the world an example of prosperity and peace. You know, they have three different religions also live there in peace and respect. And I think this is an example that we can use throughout the world. And I urge your adoption of this resolution, and I thank Senator Roach and the people of Azerbaijan for being such good examples for us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Rivers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rising in support of this great resolution and to express my gratefulness to the people of Azerbaijan. We in the United States have been reliant on foreign fuels for a long time, and part of the reason that we have some degree of stability is because of Azerbaijan. Grateful also to the good lady from the 31st for bringing this forward and urge support. Thank you.
Question before the Senate's adoption of Senate Resolution 8661. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. We have two gentlemen, very distinguished gentlemen, that are with us today, and they are incredibly patient gentlemen, I might add. I'm sure Senator Roach would agree with me on that. They've been here all day, and we've had the opportunity to visit with Mr. Nasimi Aghayev, who is the Consul General of Azerbaijan in Los Angeles, whose jurisdiction includes Washington State, and with him is Nahid Omarov, who is Consular Officer of the Azerbaijan Consulate General. Would you please recognize our great friends that are in the gallery with us today? Senator Fain.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll be headed into caucus to work on the yellow calendar. At this time, Mr. President, I move that the Senate be at ease, subject to the call of the President for the purpose of caucus.
Senator Fain has moved that the Senate now be at ease, subject to the call of the President. Senator Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a Democratic caucus immediately.
Senator Parlett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please bring your yellow books. The Majority Coalition Caucus will also meet immediately.
Hearing no objections, the Senate is at ease, subject to the call of the President.